Summer Olympics in just 10 weeks, organisers are vowing to make these the cleanest games ever. Well, one person who knows just how difficult that anti-doping effort will be is disgraced Olympic golden girl Marion. She won 5 medals at the 2000 Games in Sydney, only to lose them all in the wake of a steroid scandal that put her behind bars in 2008. This is her first primetime interview since she came out of prison. Welcome, Marion.
Thank you.
Does that sound weird to you, even now? Even having your name associated with the word prison? It does to me, because I remember the Sydney Olympics. You running like the wind, this incredible athlete, and you were just so inspiring and brilliant. And when I have to even read those words, I feel bad. You know, never mind how you must feel.
Gosh, how do you even put it into words? It has been now, 3 years since I left prison, and it's still not easy to comprehend. I search for the right adjectives to describe. I certainly would have never thought 10 years ago that my life would have taken the turn that it had, and that it has. And so, yeah, it's still hard when people describe, my history and my situation. It seems like it's somebody else. Like you're not talking about me. You're talking about some other person.
Well, it's such an extreme that you've had to endure. You've gone from champion, Olympic champion, multiple Olympic champion, to felon. And the gap between those two positions in the public estimation, I guess in your own estimation, is just so massive, isn't it?
And I think people don't really, it's hard for people to grasp everything that happened. I think when people saw me on television and then they meet me, they're like, how in the world can this all happen? But what I try and tell people is that, anybody can make a mistake. And certainly mine was massive, and it was in the public eye. And I've been blessed with this ability to really communicate and connect with people, and so people feel like they know me. And so when they have to talk about the situation, it's hard for them. Like when I travel, I'll be honest, when I travel, people come up to me and they say, we just want to give you a hug. We feel bad for you. They don't know why, but they feel bad for me. And so the journey has been a rough one. But I am happy to say that I'm finally at a place where I'm at peace, if you understand that. I made some horrible choices in my past.
What was the single worst moment for you of the whole thing, when you look back?
The single worst moment was sitting in solitary confinement on my boys' birthdays and not getting a chance to talk to them or hold them or hug them, and knowing people might be surprised by that. It wasn't having to give back my medal. It wasn't the scandal. It wasn't all that. It was not, it was, I think, disappointing the ones that loved me and cared for me and supported me and cheered me on, knowing that I hurt them. That to me was a single, and it's what I deal with every day. Like that doesn't go away. And
How have you dealt with that? You had 2 kids that were pretty young, right, at the time?
And one was turning 1 and one was turning 4.
Right, so too young to really understand. So, even now, are they aware of what happened to you?
No, they're not aware. We've been pretty open with my oldest, who's 8 years old, sharing with him certain things, but they don't really understand. We plan to certainly be, when we feel that they're ready, share certain things with them and share the story with them. But in my household, we teach our kids that we all make mistakes. Like mommy makes mistakes. I'm not, and I'm not an exception. But it's what you do after the mistake. Do you try and cover it up? I made the unfortunate choice to try and cover it up, and I made things a lot worse. Do you cover it up and then get mom and dad really upset with you, or you come and tell us what you did, we deal with it, and we move on? And so when I talk with young people now, that's what I tell them. Hey, okay, you're going to make a mistake. Be prepared, but do the right thing afterwards.
See, I guess my attitude towards it, I never met you before today, it's probably like most people's, is that having shared your dream and this amazing Olympic Games you had, and then the terrible disappointment to find that, for want of a better phrase, you cheated in some way. What I'm curious about is what your emotional journey has been with yourself through that process.
Wow.
Just tell me.
Wow, it has been a complete 360. You know, I certainly think that I got caught in a wave. That's how I describe all this. I got caught up in the wave of fame and fortune and people telling me, patting me on the back and telling me how great I was, and ignoring red flags.
How intoxicating is it? If you're when I watch Usain Bolt now, he's sublimely arrogant. He does the big bolt, and he's also this incredible athlete. And he's loving every second, but that in itself can be dangerous. You've been in that position. How intoxicating is that? Incredibly. The mistake that I made is that I surrounded myself with people that would only pat me on the back and tell me that everything that I was doing and saying was right. I distanced myself from people who would give it to me straight. Like, for example, my relationship with my mom, the one person who was going to give it to me straight, I knew that she would. So you know what? I distanced myself. And you didn't want to hear it.
Right, you didn't want to hear. You don't really want to hear that things don't look right. You want to go with the wave, and it's a big mistake that I made. I tell young people, hey, when you get advice from people, make sure it's people that's going to give it to you straight.
I mean, you were how old when you won those medals? 23?
Yeah, but even before then, at the age of 15, I made my first Olympic team. And you realize that when you're number one, more people want to talk to you. When you're number one, you make more money, and you become important, and that's who you become. And I realized while I was in prison, and solitary in particular, that being number one and being Marion Jones meant nothing in there.
Yeah, it's a reality check, a reality check.
It's an understatement to say it was a humbling experience. But in the same breath, I have to say that it was a blessing. It was a blessing for me.
What did you learn about yourself?
Well, I realized that my priorities were totally out of whack, and that I had to figure out who I was, not Marion Jones, the superstar athlete, the pretty smile, the charm, and all that. Who am I? Why did I make certain choices? And now, more importantly, how do I move forward? It forced me to figure out, I know you made some bad choices, but it's not over. Things can and will get better if I don't just sit on my tail.
Although it's been a catastrophic episode for you the last few years, listening to you, in a funny way, finding yourself might be something you never did if you had just carried on being Marion Jones superstar.
You're so right. I can agree with you 100% that it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened, and I possibly could have gotten caught up in the wave that took me so far out that I couldn't get back.
Let's take a short break. I want to come back and talk to you about when you were on the crest of the wave and what happened when that wave broke.